Hi. Okay.
Cool. Okay, so go for it.
Okay. Um, so what did we or I notice about the therapist stance,
Mhm.
client's response that and what happened during the session? So for the therapist stance, I noticed that he had a very calm demeanor and he sat a little bit like back with his legs crossed, um, and was very non-reactive, calm, not anxious, and present, but a bit detached in that presence. Um, and it seemed to allow for the clients to like be open about and answer his questions fully. He gave a lot of room for them to answer questions. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I picked up on similar things, and I think there was a level of appreciation that kind of start. You could feel the level of appreciation that he mentioned afterwards, but you could feel it from the first moment that the session started. He asked questions. He opened up the stage as asking questions. Who are you? So I think with that, it sort of gave both the chance to say who they were. And I also noticed how he kept his demeanor, like he's present. He was present, but he wasn't anxious. He was involved, but he wasn't reactive. Um, he showed this kind of empathy that is typical of this approach that seems a little distant maybe to us, but uh, he was equally involved and present and listening, and um, he was able to create a safe space for them, for the couple to begin the session. What else did I notice? In terms of the second question, what happened during the session? Yeah, in terms of the second questions, like he asked a lot of questions. Second question. I noticed how direct the questions were. And at first I thought, oh, wow, this is a little too direct. But now when we were discussing this and before, it feels like they were all, the directness was very much in line with his plan. So he knew exactly where to go. He was very methodical in his approach, but he knew where to go, where to get to, and how to create the connection between them. So even the questions were appropriate so that he made a connection between the couple. And also he appreciated, like I said before, a lot of positive feedback. He appreciated, he made sure that he showed his level of appreciation for the marriage and said, oh, you have a lot of ingredients for the perfect marriage if you wanted to, which I think was very important, so that they understood that they had what it takes. Oh, I can hear my feedback. And what else? So the questions were very direct. Do you hear my feedback?
Yeah. No, I don't hear. Oh, nothing in behind your voice.
How do we stop? Oh no, okay, now it's fine. Yeah, I think it was probably the okay.
Okay.
What else? So it made them very confident, made them comfortable into the session so that they could, there was a level of them relaxing into the session, and then it kind of culminated when they hugged, when they held hands. That was a very beautiful moment when you can feel, okay, the session has already had an effect. There's a lot of questions, but they are going somewhere. And then he had this little plan that he shared with them. I thought that was outstanding. How we were talking about this before, and how he was able to be present, and he was able to make a plan Andy was able to create these goals and, you know, and tell them, okay, how do you feel about this? And yeah, so he gave a lot of space to both, and he told stories, brought his wife into the picture quite a lot of times. Sometimes I thought maybe that's a bit too much. And what else? The stories, I think, were very important because, and he told them, okay, can you act attached? He sort of directed the plan as if, you know, he's the director of the movie, and ask questions. Do you agree? What if? Positive questions altogether. So that's how I saw the second question. That's how I answered the second question.
Yeah, and I think some of the like the way that he brought himself into the session was also very methodical too, to like I noticed that him I think he spoke about it in the interview before the actual session where he said he wanted to show his clients that he takes the medicine that he prescribes. And so he like talked about how this is how I used to act in my marriage, and this was like and it was a problem. And I think he used the words, he said he was like I was a real jerk for a long time. And like he brought in these experiences that I think he brought up his own like um not so positive experiences instead of focusing on theirs, in order to like show them that there's a way through those things without actually like pointing theirs out and saying like these are the things that you're doing that aren't working, because they already know that. And so it was actually really cool to like watch him create such a positive environment with this couple that's coming in and is like going through real distress with one another and like feeling like they aren't able to make things work. But he did a really good job of um, creating an atmosphere for them to connect through, I think. And there was that point I think I talked about where we both were noticing that the wife, she opened up once she recognized that like that the therapist understood her. um I think it was when uh he made the comment that when Wesley says that he's not sure if he's going to be in the marriage, that it's triggers a lot of her past trauma, and it like we noticed her soften significantly for the rest of the session.
Yeah. And in terms of the last point, you can start.
For I that last point, I think
Yeah, because you said something very interesting before.
oh I think well because in the initially I noticed that the wife was a bit um, detached from what her husband was saying, or when he was speaking, she wasn't looking at him, or um, just seemed very disinterested. And I had wondered if it was intentional that the therapist didn't point that out or didn't speak to that.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I noticed the same actually. I thought, oh, I felt she wasn't feeling very comfortable in the beginning. So like we were saying when we were discussing this before, that maybe if there was another way of bringing her into the picture, like be more, I don't know, using a different technique because she had a different personality, but probably not because that's his style. And he got to where, you know, he wanted to go anyway.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool.